All right, so our last Infinite Conquest run did not go as intended. We lost in round 5, unfortunately, a devastating defeat, but we are going to jump back in. We are going for the Infinite Uatu Avatar, and this time we're going to be running a deck that I covered recently. It is a Silk Control deck. Now, you can utilize and leverage Silk to bounce around the board, buffing up your Kraven. We have the lockdown component of Spider-Man to lock them out of lanes, Polaris for those nasty Invisible Woman play. We have Shang-Chi and Enchantress to counter those strong abilities. And so let's go ahead and jump straight in. We're not going to waste any time jumping into this Infinite Conquest attempt. All right, so first up we have JXK. The first location is Morag. Not terrible. We have Kitty Pryde. We have our Silk to enable the cheap Miles Morales. We have the Spider-Man to lock them out of a lane. So if it looks like maybe one of these other locations... What are we doing? Why didn't we play Kitty Pryde? If it looks like one of these other locations... Oh my, I'm so frustrated. The whole run is ruined. Oh no, what a way to start. If it looks like... if it looks like one of these other locations is going to be capped out, then we could try to lock them out of the game and out of Morag entirely with the Spider-Man play. We don't know their deck, but I am going to snap aggressively here. We're going to play the Angela, the Kitty Pryde, and we're going to jump in and we're going to go. All right, so they do hold out with the snap. The Collector comes down. Could be a Hello Resummon deck, which could actually be pretty scary. We're not able to do anything proactively against that. Just retroactively, we'd be able to attempt to deal with it. We're going to ruin our extra energy here. That's fine. Yeah, that's fine. We could lock them out of Avengers Compound on 4 into 5 with Spider-Man. I like this idea better. I like being able to, bounce our cards around the board. We have Silk already starting, jumping over into hopefully Morag. That way it is safe there for a little bit. They're going to have to really commit to be able to try to overcome that amount of power. And so we can still do the Spider-Man to lock them out of 4 into 5. Lock them out of 5. And then it just comes down to that turn 6 play. And so they don't know that we don't have the Professor X, though. And so that becomes a little bit of a concern for him, I would imagine. Let's go... Here, we're going to go with this. We're pretty confident they're not going to be able to play on 5. We already have power in Morag. And so we'll see. There's no way they just naturally cap out the Avengers Compound this early. No way. Let the conspiracy theories fly. Nobody makes this play. You lock yourself out of Avengers Compound voluntarily. We are going to enable the cheap Miles by moving the Nightcrawler. We have Kraven. Actually, let's just go Jeff here. Okay. Benefit of the doubt. Maybe they thought we were going to Professor X lock that location. And then when we did a Spider-Man, they said, oh, well, oops. So Monster Metropolis comes down. Let's go ahead and play our Nightcrawler. Sometimes we save it for the Angela play. Other times, we're just going to play it on curve, especially if we end up getting something like Kraven. Silk is another good way as an enabler, but we don't have Silk in hand just yet. So they have the Agent 13. Gamma Lab is big. Go ahead and play our Jeff there. If we can draw into our Shang-Chi, then we can win this location. This location becomes ours. Maybe they draw into our Shang-Chi with the Mantis. All right, I'm going to use Polaris to pull their either Agent 13 or Mantis out. That way we have an even number of Hulks in this location. They go with a Cable. They steal one more card of ours. This is Infinite Conquest. I feel like the first couple are sometimes easy matches, and then you go into those late game rounds, and they are just grueling, intense matches. All right, let's go Kitty Pryde. Do we go ahead and do Miles? No, we don't have the Gamora in this version, so I'm just going to do Kitty Pryde. We'll be able to enable Nightcrawler by moving him on 5 when we drop our Spider-Man. They did steal our Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi stealers with the Mantis play at that. Rude. Rude, rude. Let's lock them out of this left lane. That way we can make sure we have the highest power card. We can win this location. Then we're just fighting for the negative zone. Are we able to do it? I don't know. Probably not. But this is our best bet. So they go Devil Dino in the left lane. They have initiative, so a Mystique could land in the negative zone. But we have the Enchantress. I feel like we owe it to ourselves to try. I guess they could just do Chavez, right? Chavez goes down to 7. This is only 4. We have the Enchantress counter, but we don't have the rest of the setup. No use wasting any additional bars of health. We're going to jump out of that one for 1, and we'll jump into the next one. All right, going into round number 3. See if we can make this happen. Hell's Kitchen comes down. We get our Nightcrawler out of it. Thank you, Hell's Kitchen. We don't get our Kitty Pryde, but having Chavez, we have a much greater chance to draw into these key resources with any kind of deck thinning or deck drawing capabilities. Let's go ahead and play our Nightcrawler. We could save it to enable an Angela, but I don't want to mess with the curve too much. We're going to try and curve it out where we can, especially not worrying about a Killmonger. There's no reason for us to hold it necessarily. So Nova Roma comes down. Again, helping increase that curve because we cannot draw the Chavez, and so now we have, what, almost a guarantee to pull into these cards by the end of the game. Let's go ahead and let's do Silk into Nova Roma. Next turn we can do Kraven, and we can start bouncing that Silk all across the board. At 2-5, great value. By bumping up the Kraven once, maybe twice, 2-9, 2-7 becomes incredibly valuable here. Ooh, Bar Sinister is not what we wanted to see here, though. If we do the Kitty Pryde, they're not going to pull back in this next turn, which is the unfortunate part. I'm just going to do Kitty Pryde into Nova Roma, and then we'll kind of navigate from there. We can always use Polaris to pull their Cable, their Agent 13, and their Collector over. It wouldn't be terrible. If we maybe had like a Jeff there ahead of time, be pretty solid. I like that idea. Then we can just bombard the Kraven. Yeah, bombard the Kraven. Next turn, probably move some of them out, play Polaris to pull most of their resources over into Bar Sinister so that they can't take advantage of it. All right, let's do this and this. We'll snap into it because we're fairly confident. And see if JXK, who's running like a very pool 2 type of Devil Dino deck it feels. So let's try and hold our own. The Agent, or the Nick Fury comes down, which is a huge resource. It comes down on 4 though. Oh, it's now 4. I keep thinking it's 5 still. 4 is just so much more value. So our Silk does go into Nova Roma, giving Kraven just that little bit of a boost. You know, let's lock them out of Bar Sinister. We could lock them out of the other lanes, but this is going to allow us to comfortably move our Jeff a couple of times. We can bounce Silk back and forth. Silk has no chance to jump over into Bar Sinister, so if they play for Nova Roma, it'll guarantee go here, and we can really control the board state. And so they do have the Devil Dino, big Devil Dino here. Silk jumping over. They're locked out of this lane, so now we can do some wild things. So we can do Shang-Chi, Kitty Pryde here, Miles here, and then move the Nightcrawler over. We just have a huge lane here. We'd have a huge lane over here. So they do retreat out of that one. Let's see if we can hold it down. Central Park comes down. That clogs up a lot of our space. Gives us good targets for our Polaris. I don't necessarily think we're going to prioritize the Nightcrawler on 1. So they use their Mantis. They do not get it to hit, fortunately for us. Sanctum Sanctorum for a lot of decks is difficult. For ours, however, it is a blessing. So let's go... I guess we just... Let's go Angela for now. Angela, we can always do like a Polaris to pull one of their squirrels over. We can do a Nightcrawler, potentially. Or maybe we do Silk plus Nightcrawler on this turn. Ooh, Oscorp Tower. Okay, so we don't want to do Silk. I was considering doing Silk this turn along with Nightcrawler. We don't want to do that anymore. We don't want to give them any benefit in Oscorp Tower. We're going to do this. We have the reach in Sanctum Sanctorum where they do not. They're going to have to rely on like randomness from Nick Fury, I believe. Ooh, they cap us out of Oscorp Tower. Very well done. That's unfortunate. They do pull their 1 squirrel out of Sanctum Sanctorum, so they only... they have 1 space to play here, but they can play in the rest of the board. Good. That's a good play. If you have the cheap resources, it's a good play, making it where we just can't do much of anything in this location. So let's do Nightcrawler. We can move it. We can do Jeff. Continue buffing up our Angela. It just comes down to winning this location. And so I doubt they play anything. I think eventually they do like a Devil Dino or something big into Central Park. But maybe we get Spider-Man here. No, never lucky. All right, let's go Nightcrawler. We do Jeff. On the last turn, we will be able to play and continue fighting for Central Park, even though they're going to have Oscorp Tower heavily handed. And so they do push Oscorp Tower over the edge with the Moon Girl play. So a Devil Dino would be big, but maybe they didn't have Devil Dino. Maybe they didn't have it in hand. I don't know. We will take the 2 cubes. and we are in high stakes rounds. This one could be the finisher. They're playing it slow, trying to find their opening to be able to hit us. And most decks, that is what you're going to want to do. That is how you're going to eventually win those harder matchups, by looking for one small opportunity where you can benefit where your opponent's not going to be able to. So let's do Kraven into the sewer system. We have Silk to start enabling it after it moves this next turn. We have our Jeff, we have Polaris, we have Nightcrawler, all continuing to enable this card here. We no longer have that. Let's go ahead and do Jeff. Let's go do Jeff. Jeff can move into the sewer system relatively easily to bump up the Kraven, give that one a slight advantage, and then we're just fighting for Clintar. They have initiative, so we could do this. The same thing as a Nightcrawler and Silk, but it makes me feel a little better. You know, actually, just in case they fight for the sewer system, we're going to spread our power. We're going to force a tie in the Clintar location. We will win. Ooh, maybe not. Wow, it's a tie in the left, tie in the right. We win in mid. Wild. We win in mid by 1, courtesy of the Kraven play. What a weird way to go out. We will take the first round infinite victory. All right, so queuing up right away for battle number 2. Let's see what opponent we get. The previous runs that I've done in Infinite, I did a couple with a new wave movement style build, and every single time it was a lot of high evolutionaries. I got beaten twice on round number 4 with the movement deck, both times against high evolutionary. One was a lockjaw, one was affliction, and then one was just a morph monstrosity that we just couldn't keep pace with. So next up we have En-Haze, the first location, Vibranium Mines. We're not gonna play for that location unless there's just like Altar of Death or something where we want to, like Death's Domain. Now they snapped into seeing the Death's Domain. They could either have a deck that goes wide or they have a destroy deck. We don't know yet, but I think we stick around to find out. The snap early, I get it. Like that, especially if you have maybe a Galactus. Oh, so it's a Patriot build. If they drop Invisible Woman at any point, we have Polaris to maneuver their cards. We can then counter like a Patriot with an Enchantress. That is kind of the end goal, or that is the tentative like kind of play line or idea. These locations do become really tough really fast though. Let's go with this. We're not going to get much benefit out of Kraven, but we're going to look to maybe compete against a 4-power Doombot plus the 2 here, some Ultron bots here. That's what we're fighting against. That is what we're fighting to be able to beat. And so actually, I thought about doing Jeff. Kind of like it. Let's do Polaris. We're going to pull Mr. Sinister out of this location. We're also going to leave room to do a Jeff to continue to buff up our Angela. We buff up Kraven just a touch with the Polaris pool, and we have the Enchantress to counter the Patriot. And they did start disrupting their draw line. And so unless they have like the perfect hand, so the Ultron, the Mystique, all of those tools, I think we're okay, and we're confident snapping in here. So they go with a Hood, so they have the Demon. Ooh, interesting take on it. Cyclops does come down in the vault, which is a good added benefit for them, but I think we're all right here. So this is the last time we're going to be able to play here. Let's go Jeff. We go ahead and play our. Do we want initiative here? I don't know if we. Either way, we're going to grab initiative here, right? All right, doesn't matter because next turn we're going to draw our Chavez. This is going to give us initiative. We will be able to take out the Patriot, and then it comes down to what their finishing play is. I think with the Miles Morales and the Angela here, we're going to be able to come up above their reach in this right lane, and then it comes down to the left lane. The Demon's big. Thing is big. Not the Patriot deck that I was anticipating, but maybe the one that we needed. All right, so we get Chavez. Let's go ahead and we're going to move Jeff over. That way, an Ultron play here only brings them up by 1. A Dr. Doom brings them up by 4. We win with this play. We should still be able to win here because all of these are vanilla cards, and we're going to take them down by 6 here. And so maybe the very early on 8 cubes is what we're fighting for here. The Patriot comes down, or the Enchantress comes down, countering the Patriot. We don't have much. We're not fighting for the left lane. We're hoping. Ooh, Blue Marvel's big though, and the Vibranium. Oh, they had a line. They had a line that I did not see. They could have done Blue Marvel here, Titanium here, that would have forced the tie in this location. We were winning this one by 5. They were winning this one by 5. Or they would have been winning this one by 5. They could have forced a complete tie. Let's go ahead and that's 8 cubes really early on. Let's see if we can continue that. And I almost want to snap into them on this turn. Ooh, Peak is Peak our friend? It makes them have a very cheap Patriot. If they have Mystique, it's a very cheap Mystique. The Blue Marvel is also cheap, but it also ruins a few of their cards. Cyclops becomes harder. Thing becomes harder. Hood benefits greatly because he's no longer negative. Our Enchantress isn't as great. Yeah, the Great Web is such a strange one. It's so hard, like it's so RNG based. I am not a fan of the Great Web. Since it's not equal on both sides, it is just a gamble at that point. And so it moves their demon over. This is going to enable Miles Morales every single turn, which is great. Fantastic for us. I guess we go this. We can go double Silk, double Miles. Our Silk is going to generate a lot of miles for herself over the course of this one. All right, let's go ahead and do it. Even if we accidentally cap ourselves out of Sinister London lane with the Silk, there's a chance that it pulls back over into Great Web, freeing up some space and possibility for Silk to bounce around the board. Now, if we had a Kraven here, a lot of value in the Kraven, but that's all right. So the Mr. Sinister in the left lane, okay. And where's the Patriot go? And even if they're capped out in one lane, it's never a true cap until this lane is capped out for them. We do get Silk now, which is kind of cool. Or not Silk, we get Kraven, which is kind of cool. We could do a double Kraven, but I kind of want to play it into Great Web, push our Silks out, and then that leaves room for cards to get bounced back in, and it's going to buff up Kraven quite a bit. I like the idea of a double Kraven, but with our Silks being placed where they are, I think this is the more efficient route, or efficient play. Okay, so the double Khazar, the double Patriot comes down. Once both Silks go into the left lane, and then Great Web pulls our Silk back into mid. What a wild game. Wild locations, wild game. We're gonna do just a singular Nightcrawler here. I don't know. I don't know, you guys. I just come for the giggles. We could have done Nightcrawler, I guess, into mid. Ooh. Okay, so the Blue Marvel goes right and middle. Shoot. They are completely capped here. All right, we can now guarantee that our Enchantress goes here and here. So what benefit, how much benefit does that give us? So Enchantress here is going to take out 5, 6, 7, 8 power here. That brings it down within range. Let's do the Enchantress. I think we lose this left lane as a result. We're going to take out at least one of the... Ooh, but the Patriots buffed this one up because of that, right? I don't know. I kind of want to see it play out. I think we lose this one. The Onslaught comes down. We are going to Enchantress counter both of those, but they just have more power than what we have. And so this left lane is massive, especially with the Patriot here. The ongoing abilities become vanilla cards, so this remaining Patriot buffs them up wildly. So we are going to, unfortunately, lose this one. And so I guess we could have done maybe a Shang-Chi. Could have been a potential line. I don't know. If that was for more cubes, I definitely would have backed out of it. But it was only for the 2. It was worth a watch at the very least. It was content. So Shuri's Lab, can we get Kitty Pryde? Getting Kitty Pryde and enabling Kitty Pryde here early is going to be monstrous. We also have the Spider-Man to lock them out of a location. So if they happen to have the Invisible Woman, which we haven't seen yet, but if they happen to have it, I also think they probably have like a Squirrel Girl. Seeing the Khazar, I think the Squirrel Girl makes a lot of sense for them. All right, we're gonna double up our Silk. We're not gonna play it into Sinister London. I don't want to run into the same issue as last game. So their Shocker comes down. It's not a shocker that they are fighting for that left lane. We now get our Miles Morales super cheap. That's kind of unfortunate. We get the Miles super cheap. So maybe we do Kraven. Double Kraven. We go ahead and, I guess, Miles Morales in Jotunheim. Not huge, but we are going to bump our Silk out. And we're going to start buffing up all of our Kravens. Okay, so Mr. Sinister comes down. It's only going to double this one. So 4 here becomes vanilla here. Silk bounces into mid, buffing up that Kraven as well. Let's go around the world with Silk and see how much benefit we can get. So we could... Actually, yeah, let's go ahead and do it. We have the Kitty Pryde. It's not going to double up this turn. Actually, the Kitty Pryde probably isn't going to be our priority. We can use Spider-Man to double lock them out of 2 locations on the last turn. We're going to do Polaris here, pull one of their low-cost cards out, buff up our Kraven. Maybe we pull it right back if it goes to the left. Beautiful. pull it right back, buffing up this Kraven in the process as well. This Silk moves over into Jotunheim, where it is going to uncomfortably sit for a minute. The thing is within Shang-Chi range, and we had just so happened to top deck our Shang-Chi. There is a small chance that we lock them out of Sinister London and Jotunheim on the last turn of the game, and they just can't play. So that is a good enough chance. It's a 50-50, depending on where Spider-Man triggers into. And so it's good enough that I'm going to snap into it. Spider-Man comes down, and into Jotunheim he goes. And so that should, I think, secure our path to victory. And so we could do Shang-Chi and Kitty Pryde. Shang-Chi takes out the 14, 8. Actually, that's not enough. But we do get the retreat here. And that is going to be battle number 2 against the Patriot list, which can be a tough match for a lot of decks and a lot of matches. But we were able to bring it home, winning battle number 2, and we will jump straight into battle number 3. All right, queuing up straight away into battle number 3. I guess not straight away. I got a drink. Sorry, I broke the wall. We took a break in between. We didn't jump straight in, but now we are in the queue. All right, next up we have FromEvanAbove, I think, which could be, there could be a lot of meaning to that name. So I wanted to get it right. If Evan is above, here's looking at you, Evan. So starting off, we have Vormir, which is going to be fine because we can play quite a few cards there. I think we're going to go ahead and play our Nightcrawler, though. We're going to start enabling that early. We have Kraven, so we'll be able to move that over. Oh, and then En-Haze immediately giving us value. Let's go ahead and, I guess we do Kraven into the right lane. We could do Kraven and get the +3, but I'd rather do that on something like Silk that's going to just be bouncing around the board. Kitty Pryde is also a very good target because you start enabling it very, very early. If it gets within Shang-Chi range, great. Ooh, these become Hulk, and I'm not a fan. Okay, we do have our Shang-Chi to be able to try to counter here. We don't have it in hand though, so we don't want to guarantee that. I assumed that Silk would move out. Ooh, and they have a Sauron. So this is the Shuri, Kitty Pryde, Taskmaster, Sauron list, which is decently viable, but nonetheless, doesn't make it any easier to navigate. We can play Kitty Pryde here. Could donate our Polaris. We'll do Kitty Pryde. That's going to buff it up and move it. We'll do Jeff as a way to enable the middle location. We can then also maneuver it around the board if we want to. We have Silk that is sitting in Vormir right now. They have Shuri in En-Haze. Tragedy. It's a tragedy, I tell you. Going into turn 5, we can Spider-Man lock the Vormir location. The problem becomes that we don't have our Shang-Chi, and we're not going to draw our Shang-Chi. So winning in the right lane becomes very questionable. As a 24 power now, let's go ahead and retreat out. Since we don't have Shang-Chi, we know we're not going to draw into it. That's not our fight. That's not our battle. We're going to jump out. We're going to rinse and repeat, jump into better odds. So let's go ahead and we'll try again. Going into round number 2, Kraven, Kitty Pryde, and Miles starting out. Some great resources for us. We have players to pull a 1 or 2 cost card over from the opponent. I'm thinking they probably have a few 1 cost cards. Most versions of this deck did end up cutting the Lizard, I believe, but the Zero, the Ebony Maw, we can maneuver those as needed. So the middle location turns into Wakanda. It's unfortunate. That is one location where we are not going to be able to counter. So knowing that, and knowing what we know, let's go Kraven. Let's go Kraven over into the right lane. That way, even if whatever they play here, even if they stack their 1 cost cards, we can pull it with our Polaris over into the Kraven lane, buffing him up as a result. X-Mansion comes down. Let's go ahead and play on curve. We're going to do Polaris over into X-Mansion. I assume they set up a Shuri, a big play, along with a Taskmaster and Wakanda. That's what I imagine they end up going with ultimately. In this middle location, Taskmaster somewhere else. What do we get? They get Silk. And we get Odin to pull their Lizard. Why? Not what I would have expected from the X-Mansion, but we'll take it. We'll gladly take it. It becomes an issue winning this location, though, and this one if they have the Taskmaster. So I guess, actually, we have the Spider-Man. We are looking for Shang-Chi. That is going to be our best friend. Our best friend in this battle is going to be Shang-Chi. Let's move the Silk with our Nightcrawler. We will potentially move it. Actually, no. Let's guarantee that we move it a second time. We're going to bounce it. We're going to go all around the world. Nightcrawler makes sure that we can play in this lane again later. So Silk goes here. Kitty Pryde is going to push it back over here. Beautiful. Buffing up our Kraven in the process. Armor in this left lane is not going to be viable. Ooh, they didn't get the Shuri, so that's very, very important to know. So it can be beaten. I think if we go Spider-Man to the left, we can do like a Chavez here. They'll lose 5 power in this lane. They did snap into it, but I think we're fairly confident, honestly. Big Kraven. Let's go ahead and snap back into it. We're gonna go in all or nothing. We're gonna put a lot of eggs in this basket. If they go Red Skull into the Isle of Silence instead of into Wakanda, that becomes a little bit tricky. But I'm thinking that they play it into Wakanda to make sure that it's safe from a Shang-Chi play. That was my justification for doing Spider-Man to the left instead of in mid. So now if they do a Red Skull, so now if they do Taskmaster here, that's only going to be 14 power. They're going to lose 5. So it's an extra 9 to what they have now. So it's 22. And so doing something like this should, I believe, give us the win. The 5 extra here, 5, 6, 7, 8, is only going to be 8 here. We already win this location. The Chavez coming down here would still be enough to win. We get the 4 cubes against the Shuri Sauron deck. Let's jump back in, see if we can continue that high velocity, those high turnout games. I think they will probably play it a little bit safer now that they're playing from behind. So maybe it's on us to play it a bit more aggressively. We do have Kitty Pryde on 1. We have our Kraven. We have Nightcrawler to enable the Kraven a little bit. Polaris to pull some cards over. I think we're okay. I think we're in a good spot. Okay, so New York, they play 0. Interesting that they went ahead and just started playing into New York. Knowing that we have the Polaris, maybe, I don't know. We don't know for sure. We are going to play Kraven over into the left lane. They snap early. Interesting. Vibranium Mines, I guess, is kind of tough to play with. We have the Kitty Pryde. We have the Nightcrawler. I'm guessing they snap because they have their Shuri line. So like Shuri, Red Skull, Shuri, something. Hopefully that's fine though. The Spider-Man lock does become difficult in New York though, and that could be what they're playing for or angling for. But we have our Silk to enable. We have the Kitty Pryde. We have Polaris, which they are stacking their 1 and 2 cost cards here. I doubt that they play them anywhere else. But we have the Silk that's going to start maneuvering around the board. Kitty Pryde to make sure that we don't accidentally cap out the New York location. We have Shang-Chi that is going to take out one of their big cards, especially with Sauron coming down and them not having armor on the board. I don't know if they know that we have the Shang-Chi just yet. And so that could be... Oh, Shuri's Lab is beautiful for Kitty Pryde. Beautiful. And we get Spider-Man. So we can lock them out of Shuri's Lab on the last turn. If we want to. I don't know if we do. Being able to double up the 8 power Kitty Pryde to 16 is hard to pass up. Let's go ahead and snap into it. We have the Nightcrawler, the Kitty Pryde, both of which are going to be able to eventually move into New York location, buffing up our Kraven that is comfortably sitting over there and making it a little bit more difficult for them to efficiently position their cards. Ooh, they do stick this one out. Okay, so the Ebony Maw comes down, giving us a target for a Polaris to pull that card over into New York. They didn't set up their Shuri play. We have the Shang-Chi. I think even with this, I can't see them overcoming our power. Even with the Shuri, whatever they play, I can't see them besting this. So I'm not going to go Spider-Man here. We're going to go Polaris, pull their Ebony Maw over into New York. That way we guarantee that that is what is over there. So the 28 power Red Skull, they could double that back up, but we already have power in Vibranium Mines. Actually, they could double it up, or they could move it over into New York. Okay, they have initiative. They have initiative here. So what do we think? Kitty Pryde. If they play for Vibranium Mines, they play for it with a 1-cost card. We play Kitty Pryde here to try and bounce it over here. Shang-Chi to try and bounce it back into mid. So if they have a Titania, this actually loses here. But if they don't to their Taskmaster here, our Kitty Pryde scales above their Red Skull. I think it's worth it. We're gonna risk it. Let's go ahead and set this one up. They move the Red Skull over into New York. We do have our Shang-Chi set, primed, and ready to take out that massive behemoth of a PowerPoint. The Kitty Pryde is going to come down in Shuri's Lab. We have the massive 44 power. Silk is bouncing all around this board. We have Shang-Chi coming down, taking out their massive left lane, leaving them with only 8 and a dream. They do win mid. They win mid with that massive Taskmaster, but we win the war. That is one more down. And I know that one we had a lot of health left. Couple of bad plays, a couple of rounds that swing in their favor, and it can be a completely polar opposite experience. That concludes battle number 3. Let's jump straight into battle number 4. All right, straight into battle number 4 we go with our Silk Control deck. Silk is one of those cards that a lot of times it can come back and bite you, especially if you're playing against a bounce deck. Silk is going to ping pong all over the board. But there are a lot of ways that you can position it. It now outpowers a Doombot. And so as far as it being played or pushed into an unplayable location, you have the ability to overpower the amount of power that just a regular Doombot presents, and a lot of ways that Silk earns its merit. So next up we have Gaston. We'll have double Kraven, maybe double Nightcrawler, maybe a couple of other cards. The Nebula is unfortunate though. We don't have a way to directly counter it unless it gets really, really big. We have a way to counter this one, but the other one's not so much. All right, this is going to end up being a Kitty Pryde game. Let's play Kitty Pryde in this right lane. The more times we play it, the more times we can then, towards the end of the game, double it up. And if we have a lot of cheap 10 power cards, 8 power cards, we get a lot of added benefit. They have the Quinjet. The last time I reached round number 4, I lost to a Morph player. We lost to Morph, which was awful. Awful experience. 0 out of 10. Definitely do not recommend. We're going to double up our Kraven. We have Silk that's going to start ping-ponging around the board, always guaranteeing that we can play our Miles for very, very cheap. If they go anything massive like Dino, anything else above Shang-Chi range, we have these 2 counter tools in place. So I think we feel pretty confident. All right, so they have the Maria Hill. So they do have maybe it's like a shield deck. I don't know. We'll see. We have the 2 Kitty Prydes, the 2 Kravens. Let's go with our double Silk play. Our double Silk play. Our double Nightcrawler play. No, wait. Double Silk play. We'll do Kitty Pryde into Titan, and we're going to do a double Nightcrawler. The more times we double up our Kitty Pryde, the more times we can ping-pong Silk around the board. So they have Nick Fury, a double Nick Fury. So their hand is already going to be full after 1, but they go ahead and lean all the way in anyways. He doesn't call any more of his recruits, but he is coming to save the day. All right, so the Spider-Man pretty much gives us a shoo-in lock here. We're not going to play here, so Nebula is going to be countered by our Shang-Chi. We just have too much. We could also maybe move a Nightcrawler over to make sure that the Shang-Chi goes exactly where we need it to. We have the Kitty Pryde to lean in on it as well. So let's go ahead and snap into this one. See if they stick it out. We have the double Spider-Man lock, potentially locking them out of the rest of the game. They don't know that Spider-Man's coming. Right now, this looks like just like a really cheap value, maybe movement deck. But it's so much more than that, my friend. Gaston, it is so much more than that. Wait, they have a... No, okay. Their Kraven was generated by Maria Hill. Makes sense. So they did play for the middle location. It moved the Silk. Silk bounces back in. They have the double She-Hulk here. Do we lock them out of mid as well? Beautiful. Just what we needed. And so now we can guarantee that they can't play here because this lane is locked. We have the Shang-Chi will take out this one. If it takes out this one, that brings them down to 5, 6, 7, brings them down to 10. We're already above that. And so I think we just throw Kitty Pryde and, ooh, actually, Silk becomes a potential question mark. And so I don't know how we would have navigated that one, but odds are, no matter where Shang-Chi went, we'd be able to swing that lane. And so let's go ahead and go into the next one. We go 2 cubes up early on. All right, next up we have Gaston, making our Silk a liability, if nothing else. Nothing more than a liability. If we can get Polaris, we can yank the Quinjet over, giving us a lot of value. But that's a matter of an if. Actually, Silk is no longer a liability with our Jeff sitting comfortably over there. Maybe we trick them? I like it. We play Silk. We eventually later on play Jeff here and it bounces out. Not like a super good joke, but I like it. We have Silk here, which is so silly. Los Diablo Space could destroy the Space Throne, taking away our funny little game. All right, let's go Nightcrawler. It may destroy both of these if they play something bigger than the Quinjet. Otherwise, they're going to be the same. We can use Nightcrawler to enable the Kraven potentially, or it just eventually dies. Either way. To get Nick Fury on 3, courtesy of the Zabu, beautiful value. Just a lot of flexibility, a lot of reach in being able to play some of those cards. So where's Los Diablos Space does destroy the middle location. So we're still looking for a Polaris. Polaris would be really good value for us here. Let's go ahead and we'll play Jeff, bump Silk out of the Space Throne. It won't be able to bounce back in while Jeff is occupying it, so we're going to go ahead and play Kitty Pryde into mid, maybe encouraging Silk to bump over into Los Diablo Space. I was hoping we would encourage a snap when they saw Silk in Space Throne, so I guess it's our job to initiate the snap, right? We only have one more turn to draw beneficial cards. After that, our turn 6 is going to end up being Chavez. Okay, so they do drop a couple of cards. Agent Coulson comes down in mid. The Korg comes down in the Los Diablo Space lane. We have Jeff occupying Space Throne now. We have Kitty Pryde forcing Silk to go over into the Kraven lane, and we can really ping pong that card back and forth as needed. We do get Shang-Chi. We have Enchantress to make sure that we get those counter cards. I think we go ahead and disable Zabu here. Either that or we disable Quinjet. I don't know. Either way, if they have a Galactus, then we just lose. But that's a risk we're going to take. All right, let's go Enchantress in the right lane. We'll use Kitty Pryde, cause it to bounce back into this lane. And then on the last turn, we'll look for a heavy counter tool. The Hulk smashes down in the Space Throne. That's perfectly fine. We have the Shang-Chi that is going to make sure that play is not what is going to cause them to win the game. We will be able to steal away the Space Throne. We're just looking to steal away one of the other 2 locations. Okay, so we'll do Shang-Chi here, we do the Miles, and then we do the Kitty Pryde. That's going to guarantee that it ends up staying over here. Depending on where they fight for, though, I think that's fine. They would have to play their big power play here, so like the Devil Dino or something similar. They go Iron Man, Maria Hill. We are going to steal the left lane away with our Shang-Chi for the 4 cubes, giving us a sizable advantage against Gaston here. We have the Silk that continues to ping pong back and forth, bumping up our Kraven, and we very heavily win the right lane, we win the left lane, so we are that much closer to holding down and getting this 4th battle under our belt. All right, so jumping straight into the last round, we have Great Web that is going to help us enable our Kraven quite a bit. We're not going to play Nightcrawler here. We're going to start with the Kraven, and then maybe we get Kitty Pryde, and we can continue to play that to make sure that Nebula does not scale. And I think if we can do that, if we can get drawn into our Kitty Pryde, then we'll go ahead and snap. Because now they're Nebula, we know that that's not going to move at any point. We could do Polaris on turn 3 to yank it into Warrior Falls, and I guess there's a chance that Great Web just yanks it right back. So maybe we don't do that. All right, so we have the Kraven blocking the Nebula Danger Room. Wow, these locations are something else. Let's go Angela and Nightcrawler. We can move that to safety in the Danger Room. Eventually, Great Web can always pull it back unless this lane is capped. Okay, so we do get the retreat. Maybe they left after the last one. They have been roping for a while. And so either maybe their phone died, maybe they got frustrated and they left. Either way, that secures our round 4 Infinite Conquest victory. We break the curse of losing in that round, and that brings us to our round 5 battle, where maybe we can have a different outcome than the last time we were here. We're gonna go ahead and jump straight into the battle. All right, we are back again, going into the final match of the Infinity Conquest run. We've been fairly fortunate with our matches. Nothing was a hard counter. Nothing was just a direct counter to what we had. So we have had a very fortunate time so far. Let's see who our big bad final boss is going to be. It's Kaptsae. The first location is the peak. It hurts all of our cards except for Shang-Chi. So Enchantress is worse. Silk is much worse. Had we had Kitty Pryde in hand before it went off, would have been fantastic as that free resource. We did not though. So we'll see. Right now, it's more of an information gathering round. We don't want to play it too aggressively. We don't know anything about their deck. Sokovia, ooh, discards the Infinite. It discards our Shang-Chi. So could be High Evolutionary Lockjaw. It is a High Evolutionary deck. So I don't know if you guys can see it. They haven't fixed it yet. But if you look really closely right over here on the top of this avatar, right there, every once in a while you'll see, there it is. You'll see that speck of orange. they're running a high evolutionary deck. I had a feeling that our final big bad was going to be high evolutionary. We just got too fortunate for too long, and it was time that we were going to have a tough battle. So if they get too many big cards here, we're going to have to just give up this left lane potentially. We have a Spider-Man to lock them out of one. The other ones are going to be kind of tough. So they did get one Wasp rotation into the Chavez. They immediately draw back into their Wasp, which is unfortunate. But the faster they cap out this left lane, the better. They hit their Dr. Doom. We don't have to worry about that anymore. They are getting through the bulk of their deck. The Hulk comes down in the right lane. We are learning so much about the opponent's deck, but seeing just the Wasp, the Lockjaw, the Jubilee, we have a pretty good understanding of what it's going to be. Some versions run a wave as a kind of tech, it's kind of a flex spot, but others will run a Killmonger, a couple other cards. The Jane Foster comes down here. There's no way we're going to be able to overpower all three of these locations. I wish we would have retreated before the Spider-Man showed our gambit. And so we're going to retreat out of this one. This is going to be a tough, grueling battle, back and forth. You snapped just a touch too late, Kaptsae, and we know your deck. We know your deck, my friend. Can we overcome it is the big question. Our Shang-Chi is going to be doing some heavy lifting. Dracula becomes really tough to fight against. Just a lot of unfortunate cards for us. We're going to go ahead and play Nightcrawler into the vault. It all comes down to, oh my gosh, and then Kiln comes down. Kind of wild, kind of unfortunate. They have to choose where they want to enable their power. I'm going to choose, we're going to choose to play our Angela. I am moving the Nightcrawler, that way we can play both Silk and Miles Morales this turn. Turns out we didn't need to, or I guess we would have. It would have been more expensive. Now we can do all three. So the Kitty Pryde, which is beautiful. We're going to go do Silk first, just because. But Silk, we have the Kitty Pryde, we have the Miles Morales, and that is going to be able to bounce around the board. If we can now get our Spider-Man, great. Otherwise, we have churned through just about our entire deck here. And so we do have the Shang-Chi to counter one big hefty lane. The Dracula in Kiln is massive. So we know that that is the tech slot that they went with, was the Dracula pool. This is the last turn that cards will be able to be played into the Kiln. Let's go ahead and play Kitty Pryde into the vault, just in case they play for Tinker's Workshop and Silk bounces over here. We want to be kind of conserved in that. Going into the last turn of the match, they have their Lockjaw in the left lane. They could do a Jubilee pool. They'll be able to do a Jubilee pool, double rotation. I assume we don't want to snap into this though. They won't be able to play on the final turn, but I am not confident enough in like the Silk play or just any of these resources to snap into it. They do have the Jubilee, which is going to be the double rotation, which is big. Jane Foster being that first resource. What do we get? Oh, is that last one? It is a big hole. But they have Wasp. They have Wasp in their hand. So thinking about their potential bad flips here. Chavez would do it for them. Dr. Doom would not. So there's Dr. Doom, Wasp for two of them, and then just about everything else is bad for us. I'm going to let this one run. I'm going to let this one run for one more. We're going to hope for one of the good flips. Wasp, Dr. Doom from that Dracula play. Magneto is not it. All right. That was the risk that we were willing to take. It was probably not even a 50-50. It was like probably a 2 out of the 7. Probably more like 30% chance, but the High Evolutionary was in there as well. So 3 out of 7, so almost 50%, but not quite. Unfortunate. They got the Magneto pool. We are down 3 bars very early. Oh no. Can we get Kitty Pryde? Kitty Pryde here is massive for us. Let's go Jeff for now since we don't have our Kitty Pryde. And we'll go from there. We have our Spider-Man. Limbo extends the game. They don't have any way to change locations. Neither do we. But we're okay with that. That gives us more chance, more opportunity to draw into the resources we need. Kitty Pryde, as soon as we can get Kitty Pryde, that is going to be our priority into Shuri's lab every single turn. We throw our Kraven into the left lane. They go ahead and Lockjaw rotate in the right, jumping over into an Infinite. Oh, there's the Kitty Pryde. Beautiful. If they can continue to stack that way, then we're going to get a lot of value here. So the Kitty Pryde will come down. The Spider-Man will lock one of the lanes on turn 6. Dr. Doom to go wide is going to be big at making it hard for us to overcome the Limbo lane. but getting our Kitty Pryde now, it's late, better late than never, but at least we have it. They are going to rotate their Wasp here, potentially into a Mjolnir, maybe into a Jubilee. No, straight into Mjolnir. Always, never lucky, always unfortunate. They don't have a locational change. If they do, then we're just going to lose here because we are not anticipating the locational change. And so we are going to be fighting for the Isle of Silence and Limbo. We're gonna play it patiently for our Miles Morales. Next turn we can do Kitty Pryde plus Spider-Man. So we are going to be able to continue to elevate that card. They do get their Wasp back out, so I'll be curious to know if they rotate it in the Limbo location. We get some decent benefit here. We're just hoping. We're living on a prayer, you guys. Kraven over here is going to be the lane that we're aiming to target. We're going to have a 14 power Kitty Pryde. Massive Kitty Pryde. Seeing the Dracula, knowing they have the Magneto, I doubt they have another tech slot. The last one is probably, I don't know. The last one I would imagine is probably, oh, it has to be High Evolutionary. So Magneto and High Evolutionary, the last two that we have not seen. We're going to snap back. The Isle of Silence is big. I think we're going to be bigger with our Kitty Pryde. Oh, the Dracula. Okay, Dracula is big. But I think we are bigger. The Kitty Pryde is going to be our priority there. They rotate in this lane with initiative. This brings us to 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. The best. Ooh. Their Evolved Hulk, though, could be what, like 22? Infinite's already on the board, but their Evolved Hulk could be very, very big here. This is what we got to go with, though. This is our one shot, our one opportunity. We could honestly try to surprise them with a Kitty Pryde plus a Silk here to double up and compete for the Shuri's Lab, but I like the idea of going left and right. They're going to rotate a card. They do the Jubilee into mid, pulling out the Evolved Hulk. Beautiful, beautiful. That is our only worry, our only threat here. Wasp comes down. It has a room to rotate. Dr. Doom actually could give them the additional reach. I thought it was our only worry, our only opportunity, but actually no. 12 power from the Magneto would be the best they could do, right? 9 power from the Chavez, 12 from the Magneto. Neither one were going to do it. Both of their big resources were already out on the board, and we grab the 7-cuber against the big bad High Evolutionary Lockjaw rotation. All it takes is one good game early to get initiative rolling back in your favor. They are now down to 3 bars of health. That is one solid game, a couple of solid rounds. And so now we can play it a lot more cautiously, a lot more meticulously, looking for our opportunity to win. We have the double Kraven, the double Nightcrawler. We are going to have potentially a double Spider-Man lock. This could be the game that we end it for them. Cloning Vats is also really wild here. We get our Spider-Man, so beautiful value for us. We're going to be able to double lock a lane. Now we're just looking for that Shang-Chi. That Shang-Chi value is going to be beautiful. We have the Nightcrawler, potentially for the cards that move. Wow, the Super Flow is going to allow them to get additional reach here. It's unfortunate. Let's go with our double Jeff, and we have a lot of movable pieces, a lot of movable cards. So there's no way that they block us out of the Sinister London location. They will get some really, they're digging through their entire deck with the double Jubilee. The Thor is big. It's a Thor subject for me. Maybe they get, okay, there's the Lockjaw rotation. My goodness. They get 2 of their lower value cards out of that, but still, it's unfortunate. All right, we're just gonna go Silk here. Silky smooth, nothing else. We have all of these movable cards. We have Silk. We have Spider-Man next turn. We do have to worry about a Mjolnir. It is only a singular Mjolnir, though. So they're going to pull the Mjolnir out. They get Wasp once again, so they're rotating the Wasp the first time. They are going to have... rotating it. They could potentially rotate into the Wasp. The Dracula here is big. All right, so let's move Jeff. Let's do a double Spider-Man lock. Do we... actually... we have the movable Nightcrawler here. I think we want to guarantee that Spider-Man goes here and here. They're going to rotate a card here this turn, right? Okay, but we still want a movable use resource over in this left lane, though. Okay, so we're going to move a Jeff. We're going to move this Jeff. We're going to play Spider-Man. We can still move this Nightcrawler if needed. We can move this Nightcrawler, so we'll still be able to fight for these locations. That's going to lock them out of here and here. We only have to worry about swinging this one with something like a Shang-Chi. They snapped. We're going to snap right back. They have a lot of power, but we have a lot of gumption. I don't know. I don't know. We're gonna double Spider-Man lock here. Let's see if they fall for it. Okay, so just the card in the Superflow. Beautiful. And they're gonna be able to play in the cloning vat, so they can potentially get 4 more power in the left and the right lane, but they can also potentially buff up their Thor. But it becomes very difficult. So how do we end this one? How do we bring it the rest of the way home? We have initiative, so we don't worry about the Dracula anymore. That's how we conquered the Infinity Conquest against the big bad high evolutionary lockjaw rotation deck. One big cube game, and then it was on the defensive from there. So let's go ahead and we're gonna go next. Let's check this in. Let's check this avatar out. That is battle number 5. So much. When I saw that it was a high evolutionary, I was worried. I was so nervous. We are now infinite, and honestly, they look pretty similar. They look very samesies. Like I would like this one to really pop, but we have it. That is it. We did it. We conquered the Infinity Conquest. It only took a couple of attempts. Once with this deck, we conquered it the first time through with our Silk Control deck. Let's go ahead and let's throw on the Infinite Avatar, upgrading from the common no movement border over to the Infinity Flare. And so we are going to be rocking that one for a very long time. I hope that you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to give it a like and a comment down below. And as always, this has been TLSG. Later, guys.